everyone, it's Sharana from Payroll Waits, and today I'm going to be reviewing The Handmaid's Tale, Season 4, Episode 10, The Wilderness, okay? I don't even like being outside, but after this week's episode, I can definitely appreciate some of the things that the wilderness has to offer for us. But I have to say that this episode definitely went out with a bang, or should I say a hang. That was a little bit more, but it's okay though. But you guys, I do have a favor for you because I'm so sad that it's our last week together, but I do need your help. I've had the chance to interview some of the cast of the season, your favorite characters, Rita, Moira, Fraggedy, and I would love it if you can go to the comment that I have pinned to the top and watch the interviews, share your comments, give feedback in a respectful way. And also too, I'm going to be linking one more interview that I had with Rita and Moira. Again, I had a chance to participate in a roundtable with the African American Film Critics Association. So I'm going to link that full conversation because there were some gems that were spilled, and also too with the executive producer of The Handmaid's Tale. So just make sure that you just check it out, watch it, give me a like or a dislike, just be respectful about it. But we got to get into this week's episode. So the beginning of the episode opens up with a flashback between June and Fraggedy. This is when they're at the Jezebels, where she's kind of telling herself, like, you have to act like you enjoy this, like dancing with him, making him feel as though that he likes you, that you want to be with him, because at the end of the day, your life depends on it. No matter how much she wants to run, no matter how much she is basically just mortified of having to dance with her rapist, to dance with her captor because she's being held prisoner, that she has to smile and laugh through it because this is what her life depends on. And so we go back to present day. June is at the court to give her testimony via camera. Raggedy Traitor Tuello walks up to her talking about like, hey, how you doing? Sir, we not friends. You cut the pleasantries. I don't like you. I just said I will kill you. We not cool, boo. And so she basically says like, hey, I would prefer that you not be around for this. And I don't even know why he felt comfortable showing up, but to him, he had to go through what everything was going to look like. They weren't doing an in-person testimony from her. It was going to be on camera. They're taking Fraggedy to Geneva in order for him to have his immunity trial. And basically he tells June that he is going to be released. It really doesn't matter what you say, even though he claims that he didn't say it like that, but he did. And so he says it really doesn't matter about the testimony. They're going to let him go. And so she basically says like, is he everything that you hoped he would be? The fact that you are basically dismissing all of these people that he has raped, that he has tortured, these lives that he has ruined, these children that they have taken away from their parents. Is it everything that you hoped for? And his raggedy behind had the nerve to say that he is. I was just like, I wanted to fight him all over again. I am still upset about last week's episode, but we see that June tells him like, weak men, they do make the world go round, and almost as if she's calling Mark weak. Because at the end of the day, you promise these people that you will be there for them, that you will support them, that you will bring their captors to justice, and you were weak and you let it go because at the end of the day, and this is something that she says later, having Fraggedy is more important than making sure that these women feel protected, that people like June feel protected. And so we see that he ends up telling her like, hey, I'm on your side. And I was like, sir, whose side are you on? Like, are you serious? You're on her side, but you're literally letting this person who has taken away 7 years of her life, who she still does not have her daughter Hannah, like, this is how you're on her side? I was just so confused. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I was really confused about that, but it is what it is. So, she was like, at the end of the day, you have taken a side. Like, you've chosen Fred over me, so you have taken a side. It doesn't matter what you have to say. But then he ends up just brushing it off, saying, thank you for continuing to participate in this. Sir, I just said, I'm not going to be petty. I ain't going to be petty. I'm just going to let it go. I'm going to let it go. So when she comes home, Luke asks her how everything went. She's basically like, it was shitty. Like, what do you mean? And so he's trying to make her feel better, trying to reassure her. At the end of the day, you're free. You're here. Nicole is here. We just have to count the little blessings that we do have. And so we see that June ends up telling Rita, because Rita's there. She's like, hey, do you need this? Do you need that? She's like, hey, you have to stop serving me. You have to start being so clingy. But she's like, hey, I'm working on it with my therapist. Do you want this or not? So she ends up having a conversation with them, and Moira is basically saying, like, this is when she tells them that they're going to be flying Fraggedy to Geneva to have the immunity trial, and he basically gets to go away and live his happy life without any repercussions. And so Moira is like, we have to do something about this. We have to raise money. We have to go to Geneva. You have to testify. You have to figure out a way to change their minds. But June is just like, at the end of the day, like, it is what it is. They're going to grant him immunity. And this is when she tells her that at the end of the day, Fraggedy is more important to them for what he's giving them than what he actually took from her. And that really hit hard, because at the end of the day, June has dealt with so much trauma over the past 7 years, and that she really can't, even though we see later in the episode when Commander Lawrence says whatever justice is giving to Fraggedy is never going to be enough for everything that you've actually been through. And so we see a meeting with Emily, kind of foreshadowing what we see towards the end of the episode, where they're basically having a conversation. She tells her what's happened, and she talks about how, like, I really wish I can let this go. I wish I can let everything that has happened to me, I wish I can let it go. I wish that I can be a good mother, because a good mother would just let this go and just be happy that they have one of their children to take care of. And it's interesting how they quote like scripture, and this is foreshadowing really about how June is not going to let this go. She wants Fraggedy to come to justice. She wants him dead, and she would do anything by any means necessary to make sure that that happens. And it kind of foreshadows her having to leave Nicole in the end for her to seek justice against Fraggedy. So we end up seeing later in the episode that she actually goes to see Fraggedy. Fraggedy's like, hey June, like, can I call you June? Is that okay with you? And I was just like, sir, why are you being so nice? All of these pleasantries. But I was just like, why did y'all let June come to see Fraggedy in the first place? I seriously thought that she was going to kill him. I thought she had some knife hidden somewhere. I thought she was looking for any weapon she could to stab him and just kill him right then and there. But they end up having a conversation, and, you know, he's like, hey, you know, it's all good, you know, after the ill things that you said about me in court. Sir, ill things? Baby, that was the truth. What are you talking about? Like, I forgive you. If you don't go sit your ass down, I was just like, the audacity of him. I shouldn't even be shocked at this point at all of the things that Fraggedy says, but it still burned me to my core. So at this point, she asks security to leave, and then they leave, and I'm just like, so y'all gonna leave June, who literally just said, I will kill you? She told Trader Mark I will kill you. So if she had that type of hate for Trader Mark, how do you think she felt about Fraggedy? And y'all really just left them in the room alone together. And so basically he's telling her, like, hey, like, now that I have a kid, I totally understand everything that happened. And he basically ends up apologizing to her, which I was like, oh, you sorry, Fraggedy? You sorry? Even June had to take a step back and like, I never thought that you would really even fix your lips to say that you were sorry. I was shocked as well. And so she ends up asking him to pour her a drink. So they're having a drink, and essentially Fred is like, I have strong feelings for you. I wouldn't say it's love, but it's stronger than like. And I was just like, Fraggedy, really? You sitting up here professing your feelings to her like she gives a damn, like she cares? Are you being serious right now? And so he ends up saying that he misses Alfred. And June says that she misses her too. She misses Alfred's strength. And it's kind of like a play of when Commander Lawrence said, like, hey, maybe the maple syrup is making you soft in Canada. And I'm thinking, like, at this point, she's going to kill him. Like, okay, so you getting in close with the enemy to kill him. But then they just end up saying that, you know, he ends up telling her that, you know, offer it was something special, and they did a cheers to offer it. And then she ends up just leaving. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess maybe June did let things go. But what the hell was I thinking to really believe that June was going to really let this go? And so she's having this conversation with Luke. He's trying to be like, hey, do you want to go get drinks? What do you want to do? And then she ends up telling him that she's going to put Fraggedy on the wall. And so this scares Luke, and he's kind of just like, hey, like, you gotta let this go, sis. Like, it's just, it is what it is. Like, we have to find a way to move forward. And so she ends up stalking Trader Mark. Mark get all shook because she is just like, hey, she was basically telling Mark that Fraggedy ain't gonna make it, okay? You need to get in the car. We need to take a ride. And he was like, you can't do this, June. This is my place of residence. I live here. He was shook. And then she lightened things up, saying like, sorry, I apologize. Like, Gilead kind of makes us a bit of the C word. I don't want YouTube up here demonetizing me. But we then say that she says, hey, Fraggedy needs to get what he deserves. And she was like, hey, just take a ride with me. Just listen, hear me out. She basically has a bigger opportunity where everybody will win. And so they pull up to this diner, and it's Commander Lawrence who is sitting there waiting. And essentially they promise him immunity, like he can come and they can't arrest him, and they make a deal. And so essentially, June and Commander Lawrence, they make a deal with Mark, and they say, hey, these 22 women that you thought were missing that are a part of the resistance, we have them. We will give you the 22 women if you give us Fraggedy back. And so he says, I have to take this to my superiors. I'll let you know what happens. And so we see that after he leaves, this is when Commander Lawrence is when Joseph tells her, like, you know, whatever happens, like, it won't be enough for her. Whatever they do to him in Gilead, and this kind of hints back to her conversation with Emily when they're talking about how he would have had a trial, like this spectacle, because that's what Gilead likes. They would have never done an in-person, on-camera testimony and not let the people be in the same courtroom. This is where they get the idea that in order to get back at Fraggedy, he has to have justice the Gilead way, the Gilead style, because this is the world that he has helped create. So that same world should be the thing that basically becomes his demise. And so we see that June ends up telling Moira and Emily and Luke that she wants Fraggedy to be afraid. She wants him to be scared to death. She wants him to feel like she felt in her worst point when she lost Hannah, when they were on the run in the woods, when they were trying to get away from the eyes. That's how she wants him to feel. And so we see that, I'm going to pause it there for June, and let's talk about the Raggedy Waterfords for a minute. The last time we're going to talk about the Raggedy Waterfords as a couple, because, you know, Fraggedy is dead. But we see that Fraggedy, he's given testimony, and they ask him about the Jezebels. They specifically asked him about someone by the name of Riley, whether or not she's alive or not. And he was like, I don't know. I didn't frequent the place that much. So I was like, Fraggedy, you sitting up here lying still? You still lying, Fraggedy? You still got the audacity to sit up here and lie? Are you lying because your raggedy wife is sitting behind you, listening to all the raggediness that you have done in your life in Gilead, specifically for the past 7 years? And so then he ends up saying, oh, I think she passed away in an accident. So you do know. So you was up there with the Jezebels, just being a dirty little dog. But we see that Trader Mark comes, and Serena was like, why are you just now getting here? And he was like, I'm sorry, ho. He didn't call her a ho. Let me not say that. But he was like, I'm sorry, I didn't know we had a meeting. Like, what is the problem? But the fact that when he calls Serena out, like, ma'am, why are you sitting up here talking about how the person is in contempt and how they're treating him so horribly? Did you forget that your raggedy behind was there to witness half of his brutal crimes? Like, you are a part of the problem as well. Don't get it twisted, boo-boo. Then she has the audacity to start making demands like, we need a house, we need security. I was just like, ma'am, you should be happy with your freedom and your life, okay? You should be on the wall hanging with Fraggedy, all right? And so Mark basically tells her, like, ma'am, you are still in custody. I don't know why you feel like you can make all of these demands, but your ass in custody too. Simmer down now. But going back to, it's clear that Trader Mark wants to sleep with Serena. He was like, why are you staying with your husband? Like, he seemed like he was really hurt. Like, he was hurt. Like, she chose Fraggedy over him. I was like, sir, are you letting your personal feelings cloud your judgment on what you should be doing with the Raggedy Waterfords? I was just a little bit confused, but I was happy when she said it ain't none of your business, because it ain't none of your business, because that is her husband at the end of the day, and they both raggedy, and they deserve to rot in hell together. So we see that Fraggedy is off to Geneva. He goes to say goodbye to Serena. I guess he was looking for this heartfelt moment. Like, can we, she was like, call me when you get there. He's like, well, can we Zoom? I would love to see you. She was just like, okay, whatever. Like, it's clear that she doesn't care about him, but at the end of the day, she wants her family together because everyone else hates them. So she basically needs him. It's like this codependent relationship that the both of them have. And so we see that, afterwards, you know, when he walks out, and then basically he was like, oh, hey, Mark, I didn't know you was gonna be here today. He was like, oh yeah, I'm here to arrest you, honey. I was like, oh, all right. That blessed my entire soul to see Fraggedy shaking, to see him scared to death, like June said, but that was just the icing on the cake. I didn't even know the blessing that I was going to be in store for towards the end of the episode. And so we see that he ends up arresting him, but what made me the most upset is when he said, I am a man and I have rights. So you a man and you have rights. Oh, all right. This goes back to how they just don't respect women whatsoever. That you said, you could have just said, I'm a human being, I have rights. You made it a point to say, I am a man. You are a raggedy man. You ain't no man, okay? You are the scum beneath my shoe, all right? You ain't no man. A man, I'm a man and I have rights. How dare you? So we see that they end up taking him he's like, where are you taking me? Like, this isn't right. He was like, oh, Fraggedy, you going home, man. You going home. So then he got real shit because he already knew what was waiting for him at home, because at the end of the day, he didn't snitch on Gilead. So of course he's going to stand trial. He's going to end up on the wall if he goes back at home. So I was so happy to see there's an exchange that happens between Fraggedy and Trader Mark. And I love when Fraggedy tells him, I know God sees your heart. He knows your desires and he knows what you covet. Almost as if like, sir, you think all of us been blind watching these past couple of weeks that you obviously got a thing for my wife? We've been seeing that since last season. You think I didn't see that? And so then Mark trying to look at him like sir, we know you trying to get up in them pants of Serena, but it blessed my heart to see Commander Lawrence is the one who picks him up. It's almost as if he's getting his revenge for what Fraggedy did to him and his wife, what led her to kill herself. It's like he's getting his revenge as well. But the chef's kiss of the moment was when I saw Nick. As soon as I saw Nick get out and Nick said he's taking him with him, I said, oh my God, Nick is finna take Fraggedy to see June, and June finna kill this man. I said, yeah, I'm here for it, baby. Nick, go ahead and take him. You still trash for the whole wedding ring stuff last week, but I'm gonna let it slide just for the sake of you making sure that you got Fraggedy for June. And so when he tells them, like, he says, hey, everything I did was to protect my family. I want to apologize. But Nick was just like, okay. All right. And so he takes him to the woods. He's like, son, where are you taking me? Son, all the stuff you done put Nick through too. I mean, this is really everyone getting their revenge on Fraggedy for all the crazy things that he has done. And so we see that Nick ends up telling Fraggedy, whatever man sows, he shall reap. And I was like, you better throw that scripture back at him. Side note, one of the best things ever, my mom's super religious. She always had Bible scriptures for anything that I did wrong. Baby, when I knew that Bible and I started throwing them scriptures back at my mama, it is a revenge. It is just something that just feeds your soul, knowing that you can use scripture back on people who tried to use scripture against you to punish you. Oh, it feels so good. So I felt that in my spirit when Nick did that to him. Daddy, if you watching, don't be snitching. So we see that June appears in the wilderness. They're in the wilderness now. They're in no man's land, as Nick says. And she shows up, and then she comes up and kisses Nick in front of him. But he was like, this is sick. I said, sir, so this is sick, but you raping all these women, destroying lives, stealing children, that wasn't sick? But this is where you draw the line? Whatever. It is what it is. So she ends up kissing him and says thank you. Nick walks away, and then he trying to plead with her like, I have a son. I don't care if you got a son. Are you serious? So you're going to try to ask her to extend the grace that you never extended back to her? How dare you? Trash, okay? That's why you hanging from a wall now. So June holds out a gun and she holds out a whistle and she was like, hey, it's your pick, choose. And he was like, you're not going to shoot me. She was like, okay. And she blows the whistle. And then all the other surviving women just appear out in the wilderness, okay? And then she whispers to them, she tells them to run. Whew, y'all. To see Fraggedy scared to death, literally the thing that June wanted the most, to see the fear in his face as he is running, but to see the vengeance on June's face, on these women's faces as they're running after him in the woods, to see Fraggedy keep falling like we in a horrible horror movie when the women be falling, but now it's the man falling. It just really touched my soul. Lord, this is a TV show, so I'm not condoning violence, but in the sake of this episode, I am condoning violence. I just wanted to make it right with the Lord real quick. But we see that essentially they end up catching up to him. And then Leslie Gore's You Don't Own Me comes up. It is such a perfect... you don't own me. That's my song. If y'all don't watch it, if you ever watch First Wives Club, watch it. But to have You Don't Own Me show up as they are beating the living ish out of him, and to see the flashbacks of what is happening when they were at the Jezebel, to them kind of the same movements that they were doing as she is basically beating this man to death, biting him, being able to do all of the things that she couldn't do when he was abusing her. It was so great. That whole scene was so fantastic. Even when you see the aerial shot of the lights, what do you call those things? A flashlight, of the flashlights in a circle, kind of how we always see the handmaids in the circle, to see them in a circle beating Commander Waterford. It just touched my soul. That was the moment I was like, there is a God, okay? Because this is just beautiful. It's so beautiful. And then at the end, we see it's light outside. We see that June has her face covered in blood, but there's just a look of peace, like of healing in her face. And we see that she ends up going back to, well, first, I guess we can talk about Raggedy Serena. So Serena's sitting up there staring at the Zoom chat, waiting for her Fraggedy to call. And then we see the man he's getting the mail ready for, and then he opens up a package. And when he pours the package out, it's Fraggedy's finger with the ring that was sent to Serena. He screams, and then we cut to June, who shows back up at home. She goes to, inside the house, she goes to see Nicole. And essentially, she sees Nicole, she starts crying. And then I was like, sis, you just gonna pick the baby up? You're not gonna take the blood off of you? You just gonna pick the baby up? I just didn't know what's happened. Luke comes in, he's looking like, what the hell's going on? He was like, June? And then he sees the blood on his face. He falls out. She says, I'm sorry, just give me 5 minutes. And she tells Nicole, like, mommy loves you. And then we cut to the scene of Fred hanging from the wall, just like June promised. But on top of that, you want to know what the chef's kiss of all of that was? The chef's kiss is she actually put in his blood, she puts the words that she actually saw. Remember, the previous handmaid, Alfred, that was in the Waterford's house, killed herself. She committed suicide because she didn't want to live like this anymore. And she left the Latin saying in the English translation is, don't let the bastards grind you down, which is something that Fred taught her what it meant when they were playing Scrabble. And it's just chef kiss. It's this full circle moment. This thing that Fred taught her, this thing that she saw that gave her hope from the previous handmaid. It's the thing that she writes as Fred is hanging from the wall, his head missing. It's a phrase that is also in Margaret Atwood's book From the Handmaid's Tale as well. And I just thought it was so freaking fantastic. Just a full circle moment that I didn't see coming. I can't even believe that Fraggedy is dead at this point. What does this mean for Serena Raggedy behind? Does this mean that she's gonna now stand trial since they don't have Fred? I don't know if they can still use his testimony if he's dead, but I was a little shocked because I saw that. I thought when Nick said they were in no man's land that this was like in the space where neither Gilead nor Canada had jurisdiction. But I guess at this point, because she's making it seem like she has to go on the run for killing Commander Waterford. So I don't know what this is going to mean for June. I don't know if she's going to be arrested. I don't know if she's going to go on the run. Where can she go that she would have immunity? Does she have to go back to Gilead? I don't know what the hell is going to happen. But what I can say, Elizabeth Moss Fantastic. It was fantastic performances all around. Joe Fiennes, I know that I call you Fraggedy. I know I hate your character with all my heart and soul, but it really speaks to how great of an actor that he actually is, that he is given such a great performance with Fraggedy over these past 4 seasons. This is literally such a great return to form. This is the reason we fell in love with The Handmaid's Tale. The fact that they've actually been able to satisfy the fans while still giving us more to actually look forward to. Will we see Serena's justice? Will June be on the run? I don't know what the hell is going to happen, but I know this. Job well done, and I'm going to be here for season 5. I need it right now. I know the season just ended, but I already need it now. But you guys, yeah, if I kind of want to have a chat on Saturday. If we do a live chat, I'll post it in the thumb thing too. If you guys want to just do a live stream talking about this season of The Handmaid's Tale, I would love to connect with all of you guys for one last time before we have to wait 2 years before we get a season 5. But those are my thoughts on season 4 of The Handmaid's Tale. Episode 10, The Wilderness. As always, my name is Sharona from Para Waits, and if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell. And I love you guys 3000, and until I see you again,